Morning. French bulldogs, Dachshunds, cockapoos and cavapoos were actually the top 5 lockdown dogs. So if you weren't getting one yourself, I'm sure you've seen many when you're on your daily constitutional, being walked in the park and along the seafront, etc. But one pet charity says they're being abandoned like never before. Now, according to figures from the Dogs Trust, who have a shelter in Canterbury, they've seen a 35% increase in phone calls to hand over their dogs since Freedom Day, which of course was back in July. Let's discuss this with Jamie Penrith, a professional dog trainer. Jamie, welcome to the Wake Up Call. Thank you for being here. And I know a lot of people were like, this is going to happen. You know, so many people are getting dogs in lockdown. Were you one of those? Did you predict this?
Hi, Anna. Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
Pleasure.
I think in terms of did I predict it? Not necessarily. And I think, there's an air of caution about statistics and figures that are released. And, we're talking about telephone calls, not actual relinquishments or abandonments. So I think what you need to look at is why people got the dogs in the first place. Why was this increase in, puppy buying, the puppy pandemic, if you like, people talking about lockdown pups, etc. Yeah. And I think there's, to go to the core of it, there is a problem in society where dogs are being portrayed as furry members of the family that don't really have, requirements outside of what you would expect, of a young member of your family. And it's the sort of like essence of what dogs are, respecting dogs for what they are. It's sort of got lost somewhere down a sort of Disneyfication funnel, if you like. And so people are taking on these puppies, and as these puppies are maturing, they're realizing that they're not what they thought they were. And that they have behavioural needs, they have requirements, they have training needs, etc., that people aren't able to fulfil. And I think it's quite easy to stick a label of pandemic puppy or, Freedom Day relinquishments or whatever on that. But there is an issue, and the issue is that people probably aren't researching the breeds that they're taking. They're going on looks. There's a lot of social media influence there, with dogs with Twitter accounts, etc., that people think, oh, I like the idea of that, I want one of those. And I also think with the buying of puppies, and there was a huge increase in puppies, puppy purchasing. Yeah. There is the message that people will have heard of adopt, don't shop. And I think that a lot of the national rescue centres, dog rescue centres, need to look inwardly because whilst that's a great message to put out, very often if you scroll through the available dogs within the centres, the rehoming criteria that they're being asked for, it's nigh on impossible. I'm seeing homes where you can't have any dogs in neighbouring properties, you can't leave the dog alone at all. There was even one where it said no forward-facing windows because the dog gets stressed at passing traffic or people or whatever. So people are then turning away from rescue, from adoption, because they can't, and instead either go into puppies or importing dogs from European rescues, which are often street dogs or former hunting dogs that come with their own baggage, their own specific needs. That, again, whilst it looks good and it's very noble and it's admirable for people to offer a home to dogs that don't have one, but they need to understand what they are taking on. And a lot of these dogs do come with pre-existing unresolved behavioural issues that people need to be aware of. And puppies, as cute as they are, fantastic as puppies are, they grow up. They grow up and they have requirements, and you need to, with a pup, you need to, give them all the love and affection, but also the exposure and the boundaries and the guidance whilst they're young. And I think a lot of that gets thrown by the wayside for the, the Instagram likes and the clicks.
Indeed. And what would you say to anyone then, Jamie, who was struggling, right, who wanted a dog, maybe always wanted a dog and thought, right, lockdown's the time, I'm going to get one, but isn't sure now whether they can keep up that commitment?
So, first of all, I would question, why do you want a dog? Is it to fill a void? Is it just because I've got some spare time? That isn't enough. That isn't enough of an incentive to get a dog. It's a living sentient being with a long lifespan, and it's going to require a lot from you. So you have to think not just, am I able to care for that dog in the immediate future or at the moment, but long term, are my plans going to suit the requirements that this dog will have? And my advice to people who are thinking, I don't know many people, Anna, who give away well-behaved dogs, well-behaved, well socialised. They just don't. Why would you? No. So in a lot of instances, it's dogs that have got behavioural issues or developing behavioural issues, which often is a result of unaddressed needs or inappropriate training. There is as anybody would be aware, a sort of like push to almost feed for everything. and behaviour will resolve itself if you feed the dog. And it doesn't work like that.
No.
Dogs like children. They require structure, they require boundaries. And I would just say to anybody who is struggling, seek out a reputable dog trainer or somebody who understands behaviour, who's able to show it, not just tell you, not just write it down, but able to actually show it. We live in a social media world where everybody can video everything. You should be able to see and make a decision based on, is this person the right person to help me out? But don't throw in the towel, stick with it. They're well worth it. They make fantastic, lifelong companions for their lifetime and very, very rewarding. So while everybody gets peaks and troughs, climb out the trough, hit the peaks, work with somebody who knows what they're doing.
Sounds good. And just a final frivolous point, Jamie, before you go. I was reading in the papers this morning that dogs look forward to Christmas. Can they anticipate it in that way?
No.
I didn't think so.
I don't really know. No, that would be a fantastic animal, wouldn't it? Able to sort of predict the future.
Quite.
No, but again, this doesn't, on a serious note, Anna, this doesn't help. These sort of things don't help.
Yeah.
It's that further, that dignification, that anthropomorphic, it's a human in a furry coat. We need to just be real. This is what dogs are. This is what dogs require. Love them for what they are, not what you would prefer to morph them into. And just enjoy your companion.
Well said. Jamie, listen, brilliant talking to you this morning. Thank you so much. That's Jamie Penrith, professional dog trainer, and we'll keep discussing this throughout the course of the morning. Lots of dogs, lots of people with dogs, thinking, what shall I do now? I'm not sure I can handle